the summary of financial activities for 2013. We have a few goals, but certainly one that has been prevalent for a number of years is to always try to increase our carryover. So doing, we're building our financial reserves, and 2016 will be our biggest year for debt service. After that, it starts to go back down. So we figure any dollar we can be saving right now to go towards that, as well as simply have about an average of 3 months worth of the dollar amount of carryover equal to at least 3 months of expenses. So I'm just feeling really good about that. Every year I wonder if we're going to make it. Every year we do. So that's good. Even though, let me jump down to a little chart at the bottom of your page where it talks about starting balance and ending balances, because if you just, the one we always really keep our eye on is the general fund. And you'll see from 2011 down to 2013, we're doing really good in that regard. Again, there's no doubt about it that the estate tax has helped us, and we've only had a couple of property sales, but when we do those, we keep the largest percentage of that as well to go towards our debt when and if we need to do that. So that coupled with, especially my first couple of years here, we really focused on cutting costs, finding other ways to do things, and I just think that has, over the past few years, got us in a pretty good financial position right now.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. Okay, that in spite of the fact that income tax collections were actually down in 2012, about
Really?
7%. Yes. Yes,
Wow.
they were. But we do, and I think Kim, or maybe I had mentioned it at a previous meeting, we do have Rita working on an analysis to try to determine what segment, the population or who or what is to account for the fact. We don't have that information from them yet, but I'm sure we'll have it.
Do you think we got them sometime soon?
I'm sorry?
We got them?
It's just really hard to say. But I can tell you that it's interesting. I'm wondering if, like, the first year with Rita, they found, or a number of people paid up, and then, it kind of evened out. But I can tell you, we still continue to gain a lot of, especially individuals, tax payers. So that's encouraging to see. So we'll just, as data becomes available from Rita, we'll keep you updated on where it looks like we're going with that. But the tax subpoena program that we did, that was the first time this year. That was about $30,000 to $32,000. That wasn't money that came in that day, but it was money that they'll get billed for over the course of the year. So that will be some additional revenue. And they do suggest that we do the tax subpoena program, a few years in a row to kind of set, have everybody in the mindset that, they're serious about collecting taxes. We better pay our taxes. So we'll probably repeat that again this year. So again, for the third year in a row, we did end in a stronger cash position than we started the year. That demonstrates. Okay, this is also exciting news. I was a little surprised when I read the report and saw this. It's the first time in at least 5 years. That's how far back I had looked, that our overall building valuations in Greenhills actually went up. It's a slight increase, but it went up from $53 million in 2012 to $55,754,000 in 2013. So that's positive. We like that. And hopefully we'll continue to see that grow.
Back in the mid-60s, huh?
Please?
Get it back in the
yeah.
60s, 65 million.
Yeah, got a way to go to get back up there, but it's definitely a step in the right direction. So. The outstanding debt, I provided you with a summary there. We paid $649,854 towards our debt, and we still have a balance here of $3,398,000. That's the principal. That's due. And let's see what else we have. Then that rest is just a summary for, especially our new folks, of the debt that we have, the breakdown by voted, non-voted, voted what they're for, and the years they were put in place. So there were many, many other things for 2013, but these were the big ones that stood out, and I thought you should be made aware of. Looking ahead to 2014, I think this will be a good year for us, particularly since we have the zoning code in place and we have the CRA in place. I have been encouraged by discussions I've had with folks, both in the housing area and in the economic development area, about the CRA and what those exemptions can mean to us. So I think that's a huge tool for us. In 2014, my goals certainly will be marketing the townhouses, marketing our multi-unit buildings, selling units, unless council again will give me a directive to proceed in a different direction on that. In terms of the shopping center, I really hope we have a redevelopment strategy in place to present to you, I'm going to say within the next 3 to 6 months.
Really?
Yes. And our current focus is to do whatever we can do right now to improve the appearance of the area, that whole vicinity, to make it look a little bit better. I think that's already helped us to get a couple of new people who are moving forward with projects, and which is very exciting. Blackjack should open fairly soon, and the
That's troubling for you to say. That does not flow off your tongue yet.
Yeah.
it gets better. And the coffee shop has actually entered into his lease now.
Yeah, that's
so
cool.
We'll start seeing some work there as well. So
Do we have an anticipated opening date? And I know those are soft.
March for the budget.
March for the budget? Okay.
April for the coffee shop.
Yeah.
yeah, he told us spring, but not specifically. Operations. There are some things I would like to do. I think we need to get an additional full-time service employee. We added one additional full-time, 2 years ago, I think, where we made part-time and full-time. So right now we have 2 full-time people, and at this point we have 2 part-time people. And one of those only works we have 3. One of those works really only probably about 4 hours a week. So, you know what, we're working these guys to death.
Yeah.
At 4 hours a week, we're working them to death? Or
No,
those are
that's
just-
a part-time
just
guy. My point being is, even though we may say we have 5 people, one of them's only working about 4 hours, usually, when we use this. And mostly to do all of our apartment checks and miscellaneous work in the apartments, sometimes landscaping in the summer. Then we have another individual, 2 other folks. One seasonal, one is year-round, part-time that come in. And then we have the 2 full-time people. So I just think that rather than continuing to kind of just keep pieces in place, we'd be smart to go ahead with another full-time body in that department.
Would you reduce the number of part-time?
Well, we kind of already have. And then we lost Joe, so his was a recent loss.
Does Joe work over 30 hours a week, does he?
He was at 24. Yeah, I think all the part-timers right now are moving to 24.
Mr. Mayor, you want that to go to finance and look at it?
Yes, yes, based upon her recommendations, we would have to look at it
Okay.
finance-wise. But if she thinks we can do it, then finalize it in committee.
What type of person do you find, there's requirements, background?
Well, you know what, I don't think that
CDL
search is
driver?
gonna be that easy. No, we don't do CDLs, and they usually require more pay, but none of our trucks warrant a CDL at this point in time. But we have done really good at getting some people who are very well versed in a lot of different areas, and we'd be looking for the same thing, and it's probably not gonna be hard, it's not easy to do.
I recently, a little over a year ago, when we went out for a CDL driver, we got tons of applications.
Yeah.
And it was easy because we could say CDL was required, you're able to get rid of a lot of people. So,
Mhm.
I don't, What's
Yeah,
the
it's-
salary range or?
You know what, we're still putting this all together. Yeah, I'm not to that point yet, but,
Gotcha.
I've had a lot of discussions with Mike, and I just think we really need to do this. So I would like to have that happen this year. Another one that I've looked at is, for lack of a better word, an event coordinator. I know the Recreation Commission had indicated a desire to hire an intern, and that was, I guess, like last year, and I kind of didn't like the idea, only because my feeling is we have to have some things in place before we have some things to market and really promote, so we need that initial, like, calendar of events and strong events. So, yeah, my thinking is that should be more of an event coordinator, and nothing big. I'm like a $5,000 contract, perhaps seasonal, and, that's one priority I have for rec, and also then to continue working in the pocket parks and the walking trails, I think would be two other things I'd like to have accomplished this year, but, yeah, I don't know your thoughts on that, but I think that kind of position could also, help with a lot of internal staff time that's currently spent on events. I mean, if it doesn't, I wouldn't want to do it again, but I'd like to give it a try to see if it can take some of that from us and do it better. It came up earlier where sometimes we're late to find out, or, have to put something together quickly, and if there can be somebody putting that together or on the forefront, and then just, I have to work closely with them, but, I just see the whole thing flowing a little bit better.
Cool.
Having us doing something on like a Thursday or Friday when the event's Friday or Saturday, it's just, it would be so much easier, so. Certainly would just free like a trial, if it doesn't take more work off of us, or, we don't come up with some solid, progress in our events.
I mean, it's just like when
we
took on Joel Suggs as a trial basis,
Right. Right.
and it worked out real well, so I guess it's kind of a year at a time, see what happens, I guess. It'd be kind of cool.
Okay, a few more things coming up this year. We do have a levy renewal. It's our road levy. It's a 1.5 mil, generates about $35,000 a year, and that goes into our street construction and maintenance repair accounts. So,
1.5 mil.
yes. I
Its
mentioned
equivalent's probably, what, 0.6 mil or
Yeah.
0.8, something like that maybe?
one of those that fluctuates is
Yeah.
to achieve the dollar amount.
Now, it probably came back up a little because it still generates the same amount, basically, that it generated when it was passed. And so if the valuation goes down, it would still generate that same amount, so the effective rate would go up.
And when would this go on the ballot?
We have to have it, well, it has to be in place by the end of the year. I think we
It'd
should
be
probably do
November.
it
So
in,
November.
November when we'd be
Yeah.
fine.
It's
Yeah,
the only one we have time to do it at.
yeah, and I'm pretty sure, I have the time frame from the auditor already, and
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I was thinking November.
Because the May deadline was Wednesday.
Okay.
It was Wednesday.
Yeah,
So it's a renewal, right?
Yes.
but November, maybe May.
I think it was first passed maybe in 75.
Was it right?
something like that.
Yeah, I have that number here somewhere, I can fish that out, maybe what's new.
It's an old one.
Yeah. Also this year, our community development block grant, the new 3-year cycle will start next year, so probably towards, maybe August, July or August, we will get,
Good cookies.
good. No, it's all good.
Thank you.
We will get the paperwork to start, thinking about new projects for, the CDBG cycle will be renewed. And also, I'm sorry to say we were not funded for Winton Road, but we do intend to submit again for next year.
Repaving them?
Apparently Wyoming put in a really big project and they got all of it, and so there were a few of us who did not get funded because of that, so.
Did you hear that, Greg?
What's that? Wyoming?
Okay, those were my hits for 2014.
questions from the manager?
Kind of a smaller question, the Wi-Fi at the pool, is that, is that meant for pool members, that they can use it?
Well, people who are at the pool can use it.
I think it's open, isn't it?
It's
No,
open.
Okay, and I just wonder, because it seems like we should get some signage up to,
We will,
okay.
yeah.
And
we
then the
will.
other question along with that is Jeff Forbes' question. Do we need one of those cover sheets where someone accepts the terms and conditions before they start using the Wi-Fi?
I guess we can look at it. You mean as just part of?
Yeah, like if you go to Panera, you go to McDonald's, you go any place, most places, some of them have gotten away from it by saying, a window pops up and says, if you use this, you're agreeing
You've
to
agreed
such
to-
and such.
yeah.
I just thought we might wanna make sure
Okay. I can check. There's one of the guys in my office. That's kind of what he does.
Okay.
So if you want us to look
I'm
into
sure it's
that.
pretty simple if we have to do it.
Okay. Make a note of that.
Anything else for the manager?
Ooh,
Ooh.
sorry.
Ooh.
This is gonna be big.
I'll stand up. The grant money from that, for doing the walking paths. Did you get the application I think you were talking about?
Are you talking about the ReTreat?
Yeah,
And actually, I'm gonna be meeting for next week.
okay.
And we do, when I originally had talked about that, we needed a resolution. She said there are other ways to begin working through your program.
Mhm.
Does everybody remember what the We Thrive program is? It's a health initiative the county is coordinating. And so we have an opportunity to say, yes, we want to be healthy. And here's what we're going to do. Well, they're the idea.
Had to walk the meeting.
Council can set the example.
And walk your kid to the meeting.
Anyway, so any of those kind of healthy initiatives could qualify for some grant funding. That the walking trails are an exciting one, but also I think our farmers market would be an exciting one too.
Yeah.
To get back in track, and that's the kind of things they look for. That and serving healthy foods and those kinds of initiatives. So yeah, we'll be dealing more with that this year too.
Awesome.
I'm gonna write that down.
All right, hearing nothing else, we'll move to finances. I'm gonna pass,
Is that you?
that would be me.
Oh.
I'm gonna pass 2 stacks of information to you now, and then later I'm gonna pass a different set. But take one of each of these. This is my ability to communicate and your ability to execute.
Thanks, sir.
In a part of
I think you know.
Yeah, no.
part of our time together is supposed to be educational, and sometimes it's new information, and sometimes it's reminding you of what you already know.
On short,
Which one? Uh-oh. Jackie did his up.
financial overview,
He is
this one.
Okay, everybody good?
Okay.
Oh, sorry. And what I'd like you to do is look at the fund summary page first, and then I'm going to have you look at them side by side, because I want to paint a picture for you. And just a little municipal finance 101. We have what's called the general fund, and that's kind of the family checkbook, and we can use that kind of for whatever we need to use it on. So think of it that way. And then we have funds that are designated funds that we can only use that money for. So we can't use the law enforcement fund to buy a fire engine, and we can't use the spoils fund to help the golf course. So those funds are set up for a distinct purpose. So that's kind of the fund names and that's background. What I'd like you to do is look at the third column that says year-to-date revenue. This is all the revenue that flowed to that fund over 2013, because this is a December 13 report. So at the end of the year, in the general fund, for example, we received $2,026,000. And so if you look at the report total, overall in 2013, we received $4.1 million. Okay, so that's kind of the size of our budget. And in rough numbers, half of our budget comes from the general fund, half of the budget is special funds. And you can look and see the larger funds, what they are. Police operating fund, very important fund for us, and funds a lot of their salaries and costs. Then skip over to two columns that say year-to-date expenditures. And so you can see in the general fund, $1,688,000 was what we spent in 2013 out of the general fund. If you go all the way down to the bottom, you can see that we spent $3.89 million of the $4,140,000 that we received. So go back up to the top and look at the ending balance, and Yvonne talked about trying to building our fund balances, so you can see how much we have in each of those funds at the end of the year. And so if a constituent said, how come you have all this leftover money at the end of the year? It's kind of like your household budget. You don't want to run so close that if something happens unexpected, you don't have money for it. If you get paid every 2 weeks, you try not to spend all the money that you receive in 2 weeks because you need some cushion. And we need cushion really for a couple of different reasons. One, for unexpected expenses. Secondly, and I'll show you this in a minute, but our debt peaks at 2016, and so we're kind of putting a little bit of money aside ahead so that when we have those bigger payments, we don't take the full brunt of that payment that year. Also, just from a revenue standpoint, if something happened that affected our revenue, we want to have a little cushion also. So unexpected revenue drop, unexpected expense, and then out years debt would be the three primary reasons for annual fund balance. Kim has a column in this report also that is current reserve for encumbrance. So if she knows that a bill, like something has happened and we're going to get the bill, and we have to pay that bill, there's about $200,000 of that from 2013 that we'll actually pay in 2014. So you can see our unencumbered fund balance is $1,871,000. That's kind of quick cruise through the financial for last year. Good financial result for us, and I think there's two ways we look at this. We look at it from a cash standpoint. This is more a cash look, and then we look at it from a budget standpoint. Are we operating within our budget? And I hate municipal budgeting, so there's my editorial comment, because in 2 months we will start working on the budget for 2015. We have to pass a budget by July 1st, I think is the date, on all kinds of assumptions and guesses, and then we don't actually get into the budget as far as operating under that budget until 1/1. So really we start our budget like 9 months before we can spend $1. So to me, the cycle's too long. But
it is. I think it's crazy.
It is. It's, for folks in business, you would never try that. But our budget is our spending plan, And remember, nothing can be spent till we appropriate money from our spending plan and actually put the cash into work. So if you take the second doc I gave you that says Financial Overview 2014, this is just kind of a summary, not necessarily, it's kind of a summary of what our budget looks like, and there's some numbers I want to go over with you. In the general fund, we've got a beginning balance available of $1,213,000, and if you go back to the page that we just looked at, that's the number in that top right-hand corner. So the first page that we looked at flows into the second page.
Mm-hmm.
We anticipate $1,664,000 of receipts to the general fund, of which $1 million will be income tax. So, Glenn, where's the other $664,000 come from? That comes from property taxes. It comes from local government fund. It comes from rents that we receive, except for the apartments. So, like rental income from here would go there. $102,000 for those of you that are into trivia is our projection for fines.
Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. And our projection.
Is that based on past experience?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We had some years we were, I think, close to 140,000.
Gee, Christmas.
Our projection on building permits is $12,000.
That's not too
No, so that gives you a little feel, a little color. They're trying to bring a little color to a
Yeah.
topic that sometimes isn't all that tremendously exciting. Our streets is the third biggest number, or it's not the third big. It's a big number there. That's to me is a little bit of an interesting number. Like, where do we get $177,000 for streets? Well, that comes, you know, when Bud always used to say, make sure you get your license plate. That's a $20,000 number in that 177. So that's one number. You know, when you go and you fill up for gas and there's a little sign there that says this much of is the federal tax and whatever. Well, we get $110,000 from the gas tax that goes into that. So that's a big chunk of that. Property tax, we get about $32,000 that goes into that, and some levies and grants. So that's where that's 177 comes from.
Cool.
If you look almost down to the bottom on the anticipated receipts, you see $379,000 for non-voted debt, and that is just there's two. And I point that one out because it's important to know. We have some non-voted debt where council did not ask the voters to approve this debt. We have the ability to take the debt ourselves, and we in fact have done that. And that $379,000 is funded from the general fund, so it's a transfer into that, or it's from the sale of assets. So if we sell a piece of property, our past practice has been to dump that money into the non-voted debt. So if we decide to sell something, it would be my recommendation that we continue with that practice. So going back up, you can see the prior year actual receipts and compared to 2014. So the number that kind of really stands out is the general fund. In 2013, our actual receipts to the general fund were a little over $2 million, and we're going backwards to $1,664,000. And the biggest chunk of that is the inheritance tax. We're finally going to take the brunt.
Yep.
So it's for real. So when you add the beginning balance and the anticipated receipts, you get the total for what we could potentially have available to spend. And you see what our appropriations were, and then our prior appropriations from the year, and then what we anticipate the balance to be. So one thing that might jump off the page at you is on the 2014 appropriations of $1,965,000. Hey, why is that going up so much from $1,688,000 when our revenues are going down? And the answer to that is we have some things that were, that happened last year that we're actually gonna pay for this year. So our end of the year fund balance actually ended up higher than we projected. It was projected because we didn't get the bill and we didn't pay the bill yet. So our actual, you know, there's a little bit of seasonality to the bills. If the bill came in December 20th, we would pay it. If it came on January 10th, now it goes to the next year. So, so that's just a couple of numbers for you. What I would recommend to folks is, I've got a little thing where I have like the parliamentary procedure stuff and how to do a motion and whatever, and a couple of little important cheat sheets. I would suggest that you have this somewhere where you can reference it fairly quick, because I think that might be helpful to you.
You know,
Okay.
along with that is, you mentioned it before, the breakdown of taxes when people think that, you know, the whole tax thing's high, so much was this.
Oh, I'm gonna pass these around, and this time just take a packet, just a few pages.
It's a cheat sheet packet?
This is we'll talk about bond. Here's my elevator speech on taxes. If you take $1 of property tax, and these are off a few percent, but essentially 50 cents out of every dollar goes to the school district, and it's actually like 52 or 53, I think. And then about 25 cents, it's actually about 22 or 23, goes to the county for things like the zoo, museums, county money. That some of it comes back to us in block grants and those types of things, unless it goes to Wyoming. And then a little more than a quarter, maybe 26, 27 cents, actually goes to the village. So if your tax bill for the year is $1,000, only about $250 goes to pay police, pave the streets, those types of things. So
What was the other 25%? You said it's.
the county,
Okay.
the
Or
county,
Wyoming?
yeah.
I had a question on the balance in the voter debt bonds, which is getting high, or is high.
The 209?
Yeah. Is that because we got better rates? And because I know when you end up with a surplus, there's a method you can go to the county to try to get that money to be applied to something else.
Right, yeah, and in fact, Kim and we were just talking about that quite Thursday or Friday this week. For her to find out exactly what we could do about that. You know, because we did refinance one or two of those, I believe,
Yeah.
which,
And I think part of the answer could be that the payment is a 1/1 payment, and this was on 12/31.
Well, but we're still projecting a balance
Oh,
at the end of the year.
At the end of the year, but I think that's to pay for the next January one, because when we refied some of our debt, instead of paying the payments once a year, we pay them twice a year to speed up the, to reduce the amount of interest that we would pay in a year. And so that may be part of the answer. I have to look at that some more.
Yeah.
Sure.
we will.
And so the last 3 pages are a summary of our debt. And I'm going to go through each of those with you. The first one is in 1996, we did a pool renovation and we borrowed $385,000. And GO there means, doesn't mean go swimming, it means general obligation. And so you can see at the end of 2016, on the table there, will be the last year that we have any debt to pay at the pool, and that'll be gone. And so it accomplishes 2 things for our residents. Their taxes will go down if everything else is static. number one. And then number two, it increases our capacity to borrow in the future should we elect to do that, because we've got less debt. The next one down is a curb replacement that was voted in 1997. Originally, we borrowed a little over $2 million at 5.21%. We refinanced that one also in 2012 down to 2.1%, and that will be paid off in 2017. I told you some was voted and some's non-voted. We did a councilmatic non-voted debt in 2002 for $1.2 million at 4.7%. We refinanced that and did it at 2.5%. And when we did these, our general philosophy was that we would not extend the period. We were only interested in reducing the amount of interest and looking at, could we, from a cash flow standpoint, restructure how we pay them. Instead of paying them once a year, we would pay them twice a year, we would be paying less interest. So in 2012, we refinanced that down to 2.5%. The next one is voted debt, redevelopment money also. In 2005, voters approved for $995,000 at an interest rate of 4.5%. And we see that that'll be paid off in 2024. We also had some non-voted debt in 2008 of $2.1 million. That's been renegotiated. I'm sorry, that has not been. It's 3 to 4.65. It's a little variable deal. And you can see the payment schedule there. The last page is a table with all the voted debt. So we aggregated the voted debt, and then a table with the non-voted debt, and then the grand total table. So I draw your attention to that last table. In 2014, we'll pay $648,000 in principal and interest. And then in 2015, 667, then 2016, 674. And then we see a pretty significant drop in 2017 of 578. So you can see why we've tried to accumulate some money to get a little running start at those tough years. Kind of the exciting thing is, I think it was January 1st of last year. At one time, our total debt was a little over $6 million, I believe. I think that's right. And so you can see we're making steady progress at knocking this down, but it's a tough slog, and we've got to be fiscally conservative and make sure we spend every tax dollars, every taxpayer's dollars wisely. So, questions on where we are financially?
No, it's nice you did this.
It's nice Kim did this.
I mean, this is probably the most detailed I've ever seen before.
We put those out in the year-end report.
Yeah, they're always, the debt stuff's
Just
always
like
been in the year-end
Mhm.
report. Yep.
Pretty much, yeah. Reading those year-end reports, why did I waste all that time on those? Dig out your old ones.
You know, what accounts for that big drop off between 16 and 17?
Yeah, I was gonna spend a little time on that, and I thought I would see if anyone asked a question. It's,
Do you want me to take it back?
no, I'm glad you were astute enough to look at it and go,
I mean,
wow.
because
Because it's not dropping that fast.
then in 18, it takes a real deep dip. So.
Yeah, if you look at the non-voted debt, in 14 it's 371, 392, 401, 335.
Yeah.
That's a big chunk of it, but you can see in the voted debt,
Yeah.
a couple of things fall off. In 2016, is it the pool that falls off in the curve?
And then the next year,
Curve. So, yeah, Paying off some old credit cards in those years.
And again, if we're able to pay down some of the principal, which I think we can do at the end of 2015, then hopefully all those payments will be significantly lower because we'll literally put some hundreds of thousands into the principal
Yeah.
at that point.
And one of the other things, everything that we have been able to refinance, we have. You know, there's covenants in those bond offerings that say you can't refinance it for a certain number of years. So we've got all those in a tickler file when they come up to see if we can, if it makes sense to redo that. So. Great question.
I thought maybe you were just writing the check.
No, I can't cover that check.
Yes, we could only get the inheritance tax back, it'd be great.
Yeah, I mean, I think when we have discussions with legislators, we ought, you know, it's pretty clear if you look at, the 2014 and go, are you kidding me? Our receipts are down, over $300,000 and it's from one year to the next, it's just, we were fortunate in 2013, we got a pretty substantial inheritance tax, and it's kind of, yeah, you can't project those. And I'm not even 100% sure if there'd be a possibility we could get something this year. Obviously, we don't have anything on our budget, but if it takes so long to probate a will that someone died before the date that sunset, we potentially could get some money. And quite frankly, we never said this, you know, in a big public forum or whatever, but one of the best things we had going for us was the Alzheimer's Center, because it's a private care facility. They're there a bunch of years, that's their address, and they died in Greenhills. They never consumed a large amount of government services, yet we were the beneficiaries of that inheritance tax because that was their address. And when we get the inheritance tax was the craziest thing in some ways, because we get a call from the county that says we're depositing $212,000 in your account today from the inheritance tax. We never knew who it was that died.
Yeah.
It was, I mean, isn't it kind of weird?
Thankful.
Yeah.
It's like Christmas.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure.
All right, that's all I got unless we got questions. I think we got an executive session, so you looking for a motion?
Yeah, do I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we go into executive sessions to consider the sale or purchase of real estate.
Okay,
I will second that.
okay, we have a motion to go into executive session for the sale, what was it, sale and purchase?
And/or purchase of
And/or
real estate.
purchase of real estate. All those in favor?
We're gonna do a roll call.
Roll call.
We're gonna do-
Mr. Drees?
Yes.
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 Yes. Okay, motion carried. Go into executive session.
Cookie session or? No, there's more.
There is more? Okay. Great second.
I'm just gonna go grab a burger, I guess, or something.
I had the one with the frosting, it was very good.
I need to freaking, but yeah, with this.